Hi, and welcome to LearnToProgram.tv. My name is Mark Lassoff, and this is part of the C programming series. In this video, we're going to learn about conditionals. Sometimes when developing software, your program is going to need to make a decision based on some factor. So that's when a conditional is called for. So let's go ahead and start writing our program. I'll include my standard in and out header, include, and then, of course, my main function. Now, we're going to write a program that uses a conditional to determine whether or not the user is eligible to vote. Of course, you have to be 18 to vote, so we'll get some input from the user, test that input, and then display some type of result based on what the user has input. So we'll store the user's age in an integer variable called userAge. And now we'll prompt the user with a printf statement that simply asks the user, how old are you? And now I'm going to use a scanf statement. And remember, the scanf statement will scan the console for user input. And in the scanf statement, we're going to take the user input as a, oops, needs to be in quotes, as a integer or an integer, and we'll put the value the user enters into the user age variable. So now we're storing what the user has typed in a variable called user age. Now I know that's coming in as an integer because I used the integer signifier. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a conditional statement to test the age the user entered. And if the user is 18 or older, they are allowed to vote. Now, another way of saying that is if the user is less than 18, the user is not allowed to vote. Right? Same thing, same logic there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an if statement. And the if statement essentially is going to be the logical test to see whether or not the user is eligible to vote. Okay, so here we go. The if statement obviously starts with the if, and then we have in parentheses a logical condition. And the logical condition is what's evaluated for true or false. So when the computer evaluates this, it's got to result in a true or false. So I'm going to say user age, oops, got to be consistent there with my capitalization, is less than 18. Now again, this will be evaluated by the machine based on the input of the user. So if the user had said they are 17, 17 is less than 18, and this would be evaluated as true. If the user had put 19, 19 is not less than 18, this would evaluate as false. So in the if statement, whatever is in the French brackets in the statement block that relates to the if statement runs only if the statement is true. This stuff runs only if the statement evaluates to true. So in this case, we're going to want to say here, printf, you are not eligible to vote. You are too young. Okay, so let's give this a spin. I actually forgot the ampersand that goes right here. Just take it for granted that it's needed right now, and I'll explain it in a later video when we talk about pointers and referencing. Okay, so if user age is less than 18, we'll do this. Now, we've got to add a couple of get chars here. Got to do more than one. Whenever you use console input and scanf, the enter that the user types is buffered. So if you only have one get char, everything disappears right away. And because this particular main function says it returns an integer, I'm going to be totally appropriate here and return a 0 at the end of this. Okay, I think that's everything we need. I'm going to go ahead and save the file, and I am going to compile and run. Okay, how old am I? If I type 17, It says you are not eligible to vote. You are too young. So it looks like it works. What happened was it asked how old are you? We scanned into the variable user age the integer value that was entered. So this became 17. So it said if 17 is less than 18, which evaluates to true, we did this stuff here between the opening and closing French bracket. Now, however, if I run it again, and I say I'm 35, which I am, nothing happens. And that's because we haven't given the if statement an alternative if this turns out to be false. We haven't told it to do something else. And else is actually exactly the correct word because the statement we use is the else statement. Then we have a second set of French brackets. And this set of French brackets, or what is in this code, will only run if the statement evaluates as false. So let's put something in here like printf, you are eligible to vote. At least here in the United States, the voting age is 18. I know people watch these videos from all over the world. Okay, so now, no matter what, we have something happen in response to the user. If they're less than 18, you are not eligible to vote. Anything else, you are eligible to vote. Let's go ahead and build this again, compile and run. Okay, so now if I say I'm 35, it says you are eligible to vote. So the else statement runs if this evaluates as false.